I mismanaged. A corporation built on loans of confidence, I vanished. A constant calculation where the totals never tallied. A promise to the mirror that I fundamentally maligned. I'm a ledger of my deficits, a balance sheet of less. A permanent recession in a state of hopelessness. A prototype with faulty wiring, failing every stress. A signature in confession signed in permanent distress. A test I was never given the answers to complete. A obsolete appliance, missing its own heat. A deleted incomplete beat, walking down a dead end street. A bitter sweet treat that was never meant to eat. I'm fast forwarding the tape to the final broken scene. A specialist in stasis, a king I might have been. A tangled silent screaming, a forgotten quarantine. A fading green on a single lonely stem. My potential is a phantom, a weight that pulls me down. The most accomplished person in this sad and empty town. A hollow plastic crown from a forgotten ceremony. A symphony of stumbles, the only rhythm that I own. I'm curating an exhibit of my finest, worst mistakes. A gallery of shortcuts and integrity it takes. The ache of all the mornings that the resolve never breaks. The lakes of my ambition now just dry and barren flakes. I'm the engineer of empty, a blueprint for the void. A overhyped, overtyped product, null and destroyed. I'm the engineer of empty, a blueprint for the void. A overhyped, overtight product, null and destroyed. A decoy of a person, a purpose unemployed. A void is so perfected it cannot be enjoyed. The ghost of my ambition is a haunting in my chest. A neural pathways echo putting failure to the test. A guest who overstayed in the house they never blessed. A mess I can't articulate, a soul is dispossessed. I'm scrolling through the highlights of a life that never glowed. A could have and a should have on a dead-end road. A heavy load of a never-written code. An implosion episode, a story never told. So I automate the shutdown, I initiate the sleep. A promise I was meant to keep is buried way too deep. A leap I never took, a chasm way too steep. A cheap and fragile thing that I was never meant to keep. I'm communicating now in a dialect of rust. A language of collapse, of entropy and dust. A bust of trust that's oxidized with unavoidable crust. A gust of follow wind, the end of all discussion. This deconstruction's final, a collapse with no reverse. A curse I tried to run, but I only made it worse. A hearse filled with the drafts of my own unfinished verse. A universe that blinked out inside my own universe. again, a life sentence without crime.